Welcome to an intro and walkthrough of the Nextmv Onfleet integration. This integration allows you to use Nextmov's extended optimization and routing capabilities alongside Onfleet's dispatch and fleet management platform. In this video, we'll cover how to create the integration and run profile on Nextmv, how to update workers and tasks for Onfleet, how to run the integration, and how to update Onfleet containers. Before we dive in, let's take a quick look at the docs. This integration uses endpoints from Onfleet and Nextmv Cloud. You'll need API keys from both to get started. This integration fetches workers and tasks from Onfleet using Onfleet's API, transforms them to vehicles and stops for Nextmv, and creates optimal routes using the Nextmv Cloud API, and then represents those assignments in Onfleet containers. The endpoints are listed here, and there's lots more on how to set up and use the integration, so please feel free to refer back to this page if you have any questions. One section I want to call out specifically is around functionality. You'll see compatible and extended functionality for both tasks and workers. We'll see these again in the demo. The extended functionality is handled by adding metadata to tasks and workers. So please feel free to refer to this section for how to format that metadata. Two important notes. One, the integration is read-only. It does not automatically send the new assignments to Onfleet. Second, Onfleet is considered the source of truth for workers and tasks. Nextmv will not override them with anything specified in the Nextmv defaults. Okay, let's get started. We'll begin by logging into Nextmv Cloud. In the left-hand navigation, click on the little puzzle piece to go to the Integrations page. Next, click on the Onfleet integration. After clicking the button, you'll see this summary page. Let's go ahead and click Add Onfleet Integration. Next, we'll fill out the name, which is for reference only. The name autofills the ID, but we can change it before creating the integration if we want to. We'll go ahead with what's provided. Next, we'll paste in our Onfleet API key. Great! Now click on Create New Onfleet Integration. Now that we've created the integration, we need to create a run profile. We'll go to Settings from the gear icon on the left and click Create Run Profile. First, we'll add a name. Again, we see an auto-generated ID, which we can change before creating the run profile. I'll leave it as is. There's also an optional description if you'd like to add more context. Under Integrations, we'll select the integration we just made, and then we'll click Create Run Profile. Okay, we need one last thing before we hop out of the Cloud console. Click on the plug icon on the left, and the API page will open. Click to reveal your API key, which is now copied to your clipboard. Okay, we're going to use Postman for this demo, but you can use your favorite platform. First, we'll set up the environment. Click on New, then Environment, and you can fill in your Nextmv API key, which you just copied, as well as your Onfleet API key. Make sure you select it and the checkmark appears. A note on security. We encrypt API credentials end-to-end, transport, and storage. They're only visible when making the API call with them to the single service. Internally, the credentials are also stored in a separate system with tightly controlled access. Now we'll go to collections. We're going to use the Onfleet Postman collection, which we downloaded from their documentation at docs.onfleet.com. Once you've imported that collection, you'll see a list like this. Okay, now that everything is set up, we have two options. You can create new workers and tasks from Postman itself, or you can update existing workers and tasks that are already in Onfleet. If you're creating new workers and tasks, you'll use the post create worker request and the post create tasks. You can see Onfleet's examples here in this collection. We've created our own requests here in this collection with metadata we'd like to include. Now remember, this is optional. you can absolutely run workers and tasks through the Nextmv solver without adding the metadata, using compatible functionality as listed in the docs. Adding metadata allows you to use the extended features like unassigned penalties for tasks and maximum distance for workers. Remember, see a full list of features in our docs. In our request post create Onfleet worker, you'll see we have a name, unique phone number, and team. We've also added capacity, which denotes the number of units the worker has availability to transport. And then we've added metadata enforcing that the worker cannot travel a distance over 115,000 meters per route. Make sure to check the authorization header. If you have issues with any requests, that might be the culprit. We'll hit send, and now we can see the response on the right, including the ID. Next, we'll use the post create task request. You'll see we have the location, recipients, a quantity of -3, which will apply to the worker's capacity, and an unassigned penalty. We've already created 2 other tasks, but you follow the same process, adding the metadata you'd like. Once you hit send, you'll see the ID associated on the right. You may be wondering, what if I've already created workers and tasks in Onfleet? If you're updating existing workers or tasks to include metadata, or if you want to include them for Nextmv optimization without metadata, you'll first need their IDs. Using the getList workers request, you can retrieve a list of workers and their IDs. Make a note of these IDs, as you'll need them to update workers and to run the Nextmv solver. Then you'll want to use put_update_worker to include the metadata we outlined above. You'll follow this same process for tasks. Once our workers and tasks have been created or updated, it's time to optimize. We'll post a request with the Nextmv Onfleet Integration endpoint. You'll see a few important things in the body. We'll use the run profile ID we created earlier. You'll need to include a shift start and speed as well. We have them listed as defaults here, but you could also specify this per worker. Make sure to use the worker and task IDs that you created or updated. And of course, check the authorization in the header. We'll click send, and we'll get our run ID returned. We can check the status using get and the status endpoint with the run ID that was just generated. We want to see succeeded in the output. Next, let's get the results of the run. Use get and the result endpoint with our run ID. Press send. And here we can see the result. The output echoes the workers and tasks we included. We'll scroll down a bit. Here's what we need to send to Onfleet. We see in the containers field for the worker and their assigned tasks. We see that our worker is going to service 2 of the 3 tasks we created. We knew this would happen because of the distance limit we put on the worker. The solver chose to include this stop since it's where the route started at the Art Institute. Then the solver had to choose between the high school and the task at Cameron's house in Highland Park. It chose Cameron's house because it had a high unassigned penalty associated with it. Below, you'll see more information from Nextmv about the run, including details like travel distance and travel time. Now, let's send this assignment info back to Onfleet. Remember, this integration is read-only, so it does not automatically send these new assignments to Onfleet. Here's how to do it. Go to Onfleet's collection under Containers, use put_update tasks to update the container using the output from the Nextmv run. That'll include the worker ID and the tasks assigned. Thanks for joining me for this demo of the Nextmv Onfleet integration. Please feel free to reach out with any questions at nextmv.io/contact, or head to the docs at docs.nextmv.io to learn more.